Hi, guys. Jerry Inspired. Very special guest. We've been in touch for years. This is Marc Falzon. He has a tea company called Ooika. Welcome.
Hey, good to meet you. Good to talk. Not meet you. We know each other, but good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. And yeah, it'll be an exciting conversation, I hope.
Definitely. And is the distribution and packaging behind you?
Yeah, this is one of our shops. So we have a few physical locations, and
Wow.
we have, the team is kind of back here getting work done. So hopefully I'm not too distracting to them, but I think it's okay.
Wow. Okay. First of all, congrats on being an entrepreneur. That's what this channel loves to talk to. Let's go through the inspiration. When did you think you wanted to do this kind of job, this type of entrepreneurship?
My interest has been kind of multivariant. I've loved photography. I've loved websites. I've loved tea. I've had a lot of experience in startups, SEO. So there's always been a lot that I've loved. But throughout all the jobs and careers that I've had over the years, tea has always been something that's the through line. So after I graduated my undergrad, I moved to China, and my girlfriend at the time had a tea house in China. Her dad did. So I spent time there. I spent time in Japan, in Kyoto. When I was in New York, the last time we talked, actually, on the weekends, I would go work, well, a little bit before because that was COVID, but I would go work at a tea shop in New York on my time, kind of my passion project, I guess. So tea has always been something very interesting to me in the same way you would like fine wine or fine scotch. And then eventually, I was kind of able to take all of my interests in website development, photography, video, content, tea, and entrepreneurship and put it all together into Ooika.
Let's talk about the name. How'd you come up with the name?
So in matcha, what makes matcha unique as opposed to any other tea is actually not the fact that it's powdered. You can take any tea and powder it. That's actually not that special. What makes matcha special is before they harvest the plant, they shade it, they cover it. And that shading process lends a special aroma to the tea. It's actually dimethyl sulfide, but it smells and tastes kind of umami and seaweedy. So the name for the aroma you get from the shading, the shadows, the aroma of shadows in Japanese is Ooika.
I love it because the last character is the same in Chinese. Xiang in Chinese, which means like good aroma.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Japanese character. I can't recognize the middle character because it's Japanese, but the last character, I'm like, okay, it has to do with aroma. I just learned something beautiful from you. That's great. Like now I could tell people there's a reason matcha's special, man. It's not just the powder.
It's the shading. Yep. Absolutely. And actually, what's cool about this is matcha as a food product has more in common with foie gras than it does with other teas or it does with wines, things like that. So the reason is because in order to produce excellent matcha, you have to do the same thing you would do to produce excellent foie gras.
Wow.
So foie gras, what do? You take the goose and you have to stuff it. You have to force feed it, right? And the more risky you are, the more you force feed it, the longer you force feed it, the more you torture it, basically, the more of a fatty liver you get. And that's the key. So when we come to matcha, when we shade the tea bush, we're force feeding it to intake more nitrogen from the soil than it normally would, to the point that it will kill the plant if you shade it too much, if you give it too much fertilizer. So there's a skill to it where you want to shade it as aggressively as possible and fertilize it as aggressively as possible, but without killing the plant.
Makes sense. Wow. You know, this is so beautiful because matcha came from China, but China lost the technology, and Japan not only kept it, but I would argue probably further refined it, right? And I always tell that to my Chinese siblings, not siblings, but like cousins and stuff. And I'm like, dude, there's this beautiful thing that like now in China, they're starting to get matcha back again. Like a lot of these like tea shops and stuff have matcha, but it's like I always have to tell them, by the way, this originally was Chinese. And it's just like hearing this process is like, I kind of understand why it could get lost, right? Because China kept getting invaded and stuff. So, you know, when there's invasions and warfare, some of these things get lost.
For sure. Yeah, the origin of matcha is a really interesting topic because it's, I think, misunderstood. So when we talk about matcha, what makes matcha matcha is not the powdering process. It is the production and cultivation process. As you mentioned, powdering tea and tea itself came from China. The same way that we would say that tomatoes came from South America. But if we're talking about the recipe for matcha, which is shaded, which is grown with a particular, it's not rolled. So the tea leaves in all Chinese tea are rolled. So that means they crush the cell walls. So when you steep it, it comes out. In Japanese and matcha, only in matcha, it's the only tea in the world that's not rolled. It's not, it's a different technique. So when we talk about the origins of matcha, it's kind of a little murky because the powdering process in tea itself did, but matcha itself as a recipe originated in Japan the same way you would say that marinara sauce originated in Italy, despite the fact that the tomato bush came from the Americas and tomato sauce originated in the Americas where they would have made a sauce out of the tomatoes. So this is sort of an interesting concept where we get into recipe. And because most people think of matcha only as powdered tea, they don't recognize that. The original matcha, the original powdered tea from China was mocha, which is, it basically translates this, you know, the same thing. But the original character, and I'll send this to you later, Jerry, we have an article about it, is actually a different character than the modern matcha that the Chinese use. And at that time, they used a tea that was rolled. It was pressed into a cake, almost like a pu'er cake. They'd break off pieces, roast it over fire like a coffee bean, and then they'd grind it and sometimes even add salt and other things to it. So it was a very different product. But it was tea and it was ground. So those they share in common with, you know, modern matcha.
So this is why I love these talks, because I'm learning a lot about history. And the thing is, I 100% believe what you say, because a lot of that era was murky. Again, like when China lost a lot of their technology, you know, there's a lot of wars and stuff, right? So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I love that analogy you gave of tomato sauce versus marinara. Like matcha's not just about the process, it's also the recipe. Yeah.
I mean, all teas like that, right? So if you get like Longjing, what makes Longjing different than a Japanese sencha? It's the recipe. What makes oolong, like a Phoenix oolong, different than a pu'er? I mean, yes, it's the region, it's the growing region, but it's also the recipe. The recipe to make a white tea is different than the recipe to make a green tea. And the different types of green teas have different recipes.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, just talking to you, I see this passion, man. I love this passion. Like, you can tell when someone's doing something that they really have wanted to do for a while, right?
Yeah, it's definitely
wow.
True.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about that time in China when your girlfriend at the time ran that, or dad ran that tea shop. That sounds like a fascinating little starter for you.
It was, yeah. I really was happy about that. So I went to China after my undergrad, and it was a town called Shenyang in Liaoning province. Amazing place. I love the Dongbei cuisine. So good. So her dad owned a tea house. So me kind of being bored, not speaking Chinese in China, I would just go hang out at the dad's tea house. And that's where I got to know tea as something more than just like a little tea bag, right? So we had a big selection, and I'd always drink like grandpa style. That's where you have the tea in the cup with boiling water on top, and you don't have a tea bag. You don't even have a net. It's just, you know, spitting out leaves. So I was there for you know, maybe a little less than 2 years or so, and just kind of hanging out in tea house, really loving it. So when I came back to the States, I started kind of pursuing my interest in tea, and I worked at a place called Tea Drunk in New York City that kind of specialized in heritage Chinese teas. And again, all that was happening kind of on the side as I was, you know, working and doing other odd jobs. But yeah, that experience in China was really amazing, and it grew my love for Chinese tea. That's for sure.
I gotta give you props too, because a lot of people, when they expat to China, they don't try to immerse themselves in the culture. So the fact that you went, I mean, having a girlfriend that I assume was Chinese also really
Yeah, she
helped, right?
was.
So like
Yeah,
that really
that
helped.
definitely helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the fact that you also would like, okay, let me learn about the culture. Let me learn how to do teas. Like that's a major props. And I want to encourage anyone who travels to do that. Like go immerse yourself in the culture. Like I really, really am proud of you because I've seen so many other examples, like people complaining about being in China. I'm like, you're in China. People are very warm there.
Oh,
Like
they are.
go
Yeah.
talk to locals. How are you complaining in China? So Mark,
Really,
you did
people
the
are
right
complaining? That's
thing.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic there. The food, the people, the drinks. Yeah, it's just a fantastic culture.
Yeah. And so Tea Drunk, you worked on the weekends. I was looking it up as you were looking
Yeah.
at it. Next time I go to New York, I gotta go visit that place. So wow, how was that? Like, was it? I assume it was really busy being New York City, right?
Right now, it's by a booking only. They have like an office, but back then they had a physical tea shop, but it wasn't like a tea shop like maybe you've kind of experienced in the U.S. If you're listening to this. So it was more like a fine wine shop. So there was no takeout. There
Oh.
was no like iced tea. You came in sometimes, usually by reservations. You sat down on the table. The most inexpensive tea they had, I think, was like $20 a person. It was you know a high end experience, and you would pick a tea out of a menu. They had all the tasting, the sourcing details, and historical details of the tea, and then you would sit down at a table and be served. They would come over and pour your pals, and it was a nice, hour long experience to enjoy one tea. So I worked there as an apprentice, so I got to brew the tea for the customers, and of course that meant that I had to um, learn about tea and read about it and understand it, so I could talk to the customers.
That makes sense. So what did you learn from the customers? I'm sure it helped you with your current business.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big thing about hospitality and how to interact with them, and kind of being aware of where they are in their tea drinking, so you know when to fill it up and how much to engage in conversation, how much not to. But the biggest thing is when you have passion on something like tea or anything, video games or whatever it is, you have a proclivity to talk to people maybe too much about it. So you kind of have to like gauge how much they actually care about this and kind of oversimplify, which is quite challenging. How do you take something that's kind of an expensive topic and simplify it where a beginner would actually get interested and not overload them with too much technical detail?
My big martial arts channel, Fight Commentary Breakdowns, right? That's what I do correctly, is that I never overload them.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I'll talk to people who like spend their lives in martial arts or even fighters, and they can only talk about martial arts. And then
Yeah.
they think I'm like that. So they'll talk to me for hours about martial arts. And I have to sometimes tell them, hey, by the way, we can talk about other things. Also, don't do this when you're with other people. Like
Yeah.
you're going to overwhelm them, right? So like I see a similar kind of analogy.
When we get into stuff, any of us, it's hard to. It reminds me of the story. This kind of I don't know if it's okay to go into this, but it's a story about two guitar players that are guitar teachers, and
Mhm.
they go to a party, and one of the guitar teachers is it's obvious he's more skilled, but his school is not particularly popular. And the other guitar player, who is admittedly a little bit less skilled than him, has a booming um, company, very successful guitar company. So these two teachers go to a party, and the one who's very high skilled wants to, show everyone his guitar playing to get some students. So he takes out his guitar. He does this incredible, like beautiful piece that is technically masterful and beautiful. And after that, the other guitar teacher sits down and takes someone from the audience, one of the people at the party, and puts the guitar in her hand and says, "Okay, I'm going to teach you how to do, two chords. That's it. Just hold it like this, hold it like that." And he taught her how to do this very, very basic guitar piece with just two chords. And it illustrates an important topic, which is, being successful as a teacher. Not that I'm a teacher, but being successful in communicating something to another person is about making it at their level where they can really get interested as opposed to overloading them with your own technical kind of knowledge.
Yeah, I have a perfect story to segue from that, which is in high school. I will never forget this. We had different rallies for the different groups of people. So we had a Latino student coalition type assembly for their culture. And there was this Spanish guy played a beautiful Spanish tune on the guitar, classical guitar. You know, the classical guitarists, they play it vertically, right? He was like, "Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah," and like nobody enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I was a musician, but like all the other people were like, why is this guy playing like a 5-minute guitar piece? It's like that's a perfect example.
yeah,
It went over the head to too many people. And
yeah,
you always want to assume people know, but exactly like Mark said, like when you worked at T-Junk, you started to understand, okay, not everyone's at the same process. So when you talk to them, you'll gauge them very quickly. Okay, where in the tea journey they are,
yeah.
and then you'll cater it towards that.
Yeah, it's sort of like the idea of a ladder, right? Where you want to start at the bottom of the ladder and work your way up in sales and anything. And I think one thing that I see with other tea companies personally, but not just related to tea, any company, but mostly a lot of tea companies, is it's really hard to understand. Okay, here's an example. There's a tea company that I really love, a competitor tea company. And when you go to their shop, you sit down, you have this beautiful printed menu, and it has the name of the tea and the region it's from. And that's it. And if you're a beginner, none of this has any meaning to you. You don't understand it. The only thing that has meaning is the price. So maybe you'll pick the most expensive one because that must be the best, right? Whereas at Ooika, when you pick one of our teas, there's a QR code, you scan it, and it goes to the website where you see photos and videos of the farm, the farmer himself. It's written in very plain English. It explains almost crudely why this is interesting. And I think that's a better approach than having something that's more like a formal wine menu where most people don't even understand wine. So you need an approach that lets people enter in at their level.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love the incorporation of QR codes, bringing it back to China. Everything's a QR code in China because they've adopted the whole tech payments and tech information way more than America.
Yeah.
So what is the day-to-day life of you right now?
Oh man. I don't know. It's a lot of like website stuff and social media stuff. Coming into the shop and seeing stuff. My goal usually, it's a lot's changed, right? So when I opened Ooika, it was just a tiny tea shop with like 6 employees. Now we're getting close to 40. And with our new location opening, it'll probably get 50, 60. So as the company has scaled, my role needs to continue to be to pull back. I need to make less decisions. And the only decisions I should make are like the very high impact decisions where I take the responsibility when things go really wrong, right? But like day-to-day stuff should fall to the general managers. And so it's kind of interesting. I guess it almost feels like I'm getting lazier in a sense because I'm not so involved with stuff, but it also gives me this detachment, this ability to kind of hopefully see a little more broadly and make, the impactful decisions. Like, where is our next location? What happens when there's a matcha shortage and we run out of material? What do we do? Dealing with, any of these kind of more abstract questions.
And how long have you guys been around again?
The physical location, the first one, opened 1.5 years ago.
I
So
see.
still quite a new company, but it's grown quite quickly.
Uh-huh. And this is actually a question because I've interviewed one other matcha person before, and she's mostly distributing through Shopify. What made you decide to do the physical location versus do more kind of the online stuff, the shipping?
I mean, we do sell online, but what makes Ooika unique and special is a few things. One is where we source from. We go directly from the farmers. There's no middlemen. We have full transparency. But the other part of this that is equally as interesting and important is that all our matcha is milled fresh daily in-house. So being able to come in and see the mills, and then the matcha you're drinking, even in your latte, is from matcha that's only minutes old. That is a big difference over someone who's like white gloving or just kind of like selling stuff that's pre-ground overseas.
Wow. Wow. What is the process like to have a mill in your shop, like to mill the matcha? Oh, wow, you can show me. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I love it. Oh, so that's your shop. Wow.
So at this physical shop, we have 6 mills. So I'll show you the one that's milling over here. I don't want to be too annoying to my customers, but I think it's okay. Yeah, so here we go.
Oh, look at that.
I
Whoa.
don't know if you can see this, but this is the mill down here. Again, kind of hard to see with a laptop, but there is the matcha. So yeah, this matcha is milled fresh every day in house, like as you can see. And we have, more of these in the background. All right, I'm gonna go back to my original location now.
The aesthetics of the mill being there for people to see it, right? That's great. I like that design a lot.
Yeah, that's a really important part. And customers come in and they love to see it. They love to like interact with it. But that experience is what makes it so important.
Yeah.
As opposed to just selling online and just having some pictures. The truth is, when it comes to matcha, okay. Do you drink coffee at all, Jerry?
I do, and I'm switching over to matcha because the more I drink coffee, the more my body tells me to stop. So
Okay, fair. But just bear with me on this, even though you're trying to switch away. I might trigger a desire of you to go get a coffee right now. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
But if you were to go to even Starbucks and buy an espresso shot, how would you feel if instead of grinding the beans and pulling your shot, they opened a drawer and took a scoop of coffee that was ground minimum 6 months ago in Ethiopia and pulled a shot with it?
That's interesting because Ethiopian coffee is good, right? I learned about coffee beans and how there's actually basically 2 different plants, and Ethiopian coffee is actually a different plant.
Well, keep in mind, the beans are the same.
Yeah.
The difference is just whether it's ground right now or ground 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's transported on a boat.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Of course, I want that live. I want that live. Yeah.
Of course. And if you were to, just go online to any coffee snob in the world, coffee sommelier or whatever they're called, they would be outraged if you were to make them a coffee with beans that were ground last week or even a day before, let alone 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So we all kind of know this instinctually. Coffee beans need to be ground before you pull your shot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's stale coffee without flavor. Okay. And there's a lot of information about the degradation of coffee after you grind beans. What you might not know is that matcha is more sensitive than coffee. The surface area of a matcha molecule is 50 times smaller than the surface area of an espresso ground. So way more surface area. It's not roasted to the degree that coffee is. So there's a lot of delicacy in the tea leaf. So once you mill matcha, it starts degrading in flavor immediately. So as matcha's gotten more popular around the world and in America, it's sort of ironic because most people who say that they love matcha have only had stale matcha. It's sort of like saying that you love croissants, but the only croissants you've ever had are croissants that are packaged in plastic bags and kept in your refrigerator for a few weeks and then reheated. It's not the same. So that's sort of the concept of grinding it fresh, is it tastes different, tastes better.
It makes me want to come to your shop sometime and taste the fresh, because like you said, I've had good matcha, but they've been ground and put in the bag for months, right? So like I've had good matcha that's been put in bag for months, but I've not had good matcha that's also ground fresh. So
yeah, well, just imagine that matcha that you had that's good. Imagine how much better it would be if it was fresh.
Yeah.
With more volatile compounds, with more, everything.
More of that Ooika, more of the umami taste, basically.
This is the concept here.
Dude, I love this. Now, a technical question for you. Sometimes you don't finish your matcha. I have matcha sitting there that I didn't finish, and it's going to separate from the water, right? Can I re-whisk it again? Is that okay? Or is it like, okay, if you didn't drink it hot, it's over?
You can. It's I don't know. It might be a little oxidized, but I don't think you'd get sick from it or anything. I just don't think it would taste very good.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because right before I drank about half of it, and then I was like, I drank enough, and then I saw it started to separate, and I was like, when I drink it later, it's gonna, I guess I'll try to re-whisk. I've never tried to re-whisk matcha that's cold, but I guess we'll see.
I don't know, man. I don't think that tastes very good, but you could.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'll give you a report afterwards.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, when you founded this company, what was the decision like? Like, did you have a co-founder in mind? Tell me about that initial process. That's like, okay, go from this love to let's start a business.
Right. Well, at the beginning, you know, I didn't anticipate that this would be a company that would be anything more than just a tiny little shop in my hometown that would let me kind of make videos and sell a little bit of matcha online and have a tiny store where maybe 10 customers would come in a day. That was it. So it wasn't supposed to be this, wasn't supposed to be a company. It wasn't even entrepreneurial. It was just, it was COVID. I wanted to do something with my time. So I found a really cheap space to rent because it was COVID, and it took years to open, which is why, you know, it's only, the physical location is only a year and a half, but the original idea was in COVID. But as it opened and it started growing more aggressively, I needed some help. So Joanne Loy, who's now my co-owner and partner here, came on. So she has a background in startups. She's a marketer for an architectural startup right now.
Wow.
So she came on to like help scale Ooika and keep it stable. It lets me focus more on the tea and the relationships in Japan, and allows me to go to Japan and kind of know that the shop's in good hands when I'm gone. So it was a really good partnership for us to work together on this.
Yeah, it sounds like you found someone with existing startup experience and stuff like that. That is very important.
Yeah, for sure. Super helpful.
Yeah. How do you find someone like that? Was it just someone you knew before, or was it like I did a search? The reason I asked is because one of the other people I interviewed, she found one of her co-founders, whatever, through Blue Sky, the the Twitter like platform. I'm like, was that your journey, or is this something different?
That's amazing. No, Joanne is from my own network. But everyone after Joanne, all the staff members that we have are just from, you know, job postings. We don't even really post jobs. We just post on our Instagram, we're hiring, and people will show up. But yeah, having a co-founder it's been very helpful with Ooika, but I think it's quite risky to have a co-founder. I think it's less risky if you guys at the beginning have a clear idea of who makes the decisions. Yeah. I don't think you can have a boat with two captains.
Yeah.
So I don't care if one owner owns 99%, the other owns 1%. If you agree that the 1% owner makes all the decisions, they make all the decisions. That's it. Whether the company, you know, dies or not. Like, so I think with Ooika, we kind of have that system where there's a clear delineation of responsibilities, but ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Ownership, not in terms of legal ownership, but ownership in terms of who makes the calls at the end of the day. Because even if it's the wrong call, you don't want to have a situation where the owners are fighting with each other.
Yeah. This is a very important lesson. So I know other companies with co-founders where they've been such best friends that they'll fight all the time, but it's nothing personal. Like they'll yell at each other for 6 hours, but they're still friends. Like they're doing it out of passion for the business. And what I'll say is, if you know you have a friend like that, okay, go ahead, like debate over who like makes decisions. But if you can't guarantee that, which I think 99.99% of people can, then what Marc just said is really good advice. Delineate and make sure you know who makes the key decisions on what aspects.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah,
fighting is great. You guys can fight all you want. We fight, but there's no question as to like which one. Like if you guys have 2 or 3 co-founders, like put one of them in charge. They are the decision maker, and like hold to that.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you want to have arguments about how to make the business better. You don't want to have arguments as to like which vision out of both of your visions which are untested, so who knows which could be better, is the one you go with. It should always default to the person who, yeah, anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a very important point. I mean, the perfect example is Apple, right? Apple, Steve Jobs' vision, right? It's like you knew whose vision carried that company through. So yeah, this is another example of that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of friends who want to do businesses. Okay, here's an example. There's this girl, friend of mine. She had a co-founder and partner and co-owner, and they were high school friends. And there was never clarity as to who is in charge, like in the hierarchy of the company.
Yeah.
And disaster, total disaster. They're constantly fighting over little decisions. So one of the owners just walked out, just gone, and it's just such a disaster for her. And that's after she got a lease for a physical shop.
Oh,
So now someone owns half of her company who's not even putting in any work,
wow.
and she has a lease. So it's just a disaster, man.
Yeah. Wow. Well, last question I'll ask you is, so what's next? What's next for the shop? What's next for the brand? What's next for the company?
Right now, we have another location opening
Wow.
at in Princeton. So we have one already. The one I'm in is in Princeton, but we have another one opening in Princeton as well in about a month from now. So all my focus is on that location. And then after we open that, we're going to take it easy. We're just going to focus on the locations here in central New Jersey. There's no plans to kind of, at least not in the short term, go beyond that. We're going to try to get a nice stable base. And yeah, sort of like expansion, contraction. So now after this new shop, we're going to go into a contraction phase.
That makes sense. And Princeton's a great place. I've been to Princeton twice, and yeah,
awesome.
It's a college town. It's got very educated people. So yeah, that's a good place to have two shops right there.
It is, yeah.
And
sure.
that's why when you were showing me everything, I saw a lot of like student looking people. That's why. Okay, now it all makes sense.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Good market, man. Good market. Was this because you were just in the area? How did you decide on this market?
It's just my hometown.
Oh.
Yeah. There wasn't really a lot of strategy.
Mm-hmm. Besides matcha, do you guys do other teas, or is it focused on matcha?
The only thing we do is a hojicha, which is powdered. It's a powdered hojicha. So it's like our decaf version of matcha. But other than that, no.
Okay.
It's very focused.
Yeah. The focus on matcha is good, right? Because again, it's a special recipe. It's a special type of tea. And if you expand too much, it goes back to the two stores. Okay, we're just going to do two stores. The same with teas, okay?
Yeah.
We're not going to expand too much. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
awesome. Well, in the future, dude, if your co-founder wants to interview or anyone from the store, just let me know. I'm totally down to interview more people.
That'd be cool. Yeah. My co-founder would be very interested. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Very cool, man. I love this talk. And I want to tell people, how can they find you besides, of course, on Instagram? I know they can find you. Do you guys have a website right now?
Yeah. So it's ooika.co. So ooika.co.
Okay.
ooika.co.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful website. I'll show everyone real quickly. Are you responsible for the web design, or is other people?
It's my co-founder and I.
Oh,
so all the photography is mine and the design is hers.
That makes sense. I never knew you did photography. This is the first time I knew you did photography. Wow.
Yeah, I studied it in my undergrad and graduate degrees.
That's amazing. Well, look at that. See, I always tell people, everything you do, if you have the mentality of I'm going to use it, you're going to use it, right? Sure. There's no such thing as a wasted school or a wasted class or a wasted hobby. You can always use anything. Look at Mark using his photography skills. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh, so these are the farmers. Oh, this is great. Look at this. You put a face to it.
Yep.
Oh, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. Seeing all the farmers. So, of course, Mark just showed us the mills. Wow. Yeah, I love this. I love this. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's your. Okay. And these are your two stores that are about to. Oh, I see. Marc Falzon. And guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to Leave it in the comments. And can they order online through your site?
Yeah,
Oh.
they can. Yeah,
Okay.
we have a shop there.
Okay, so
matcha is the barista matcha is sent out same day as the order comes in, so it's it's same day freshness.
Makes sense. Okay, yeah. So this is the cart. Yeah, right here. So this is the stuff. Oh, you guys have matcha kits too. Okay, nice. Oh, it's this is stainless steel, right?
Yeah, it's a sifter. So all matcha has to be sifted.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
If you don't do that, it'll clump, man.
That's why it clumps. Now I understand why it clumps. Okay. See, I learned something new again. I gotta sift it. That's why. I guess it prevents like little pockets of that makes sense. I never thought about that. Okay, look at this is the other product you guys sell.
And the matcha's there. So if you were to click on that matcha, see where it says Ooika Midori matcha?
Yeah.
So if you click on it, it'll have everything from tasting notes to photos and videos of the farm and the farmer. So it's very transparent and clear as to like sourcing details.
Oh, I love this. I love that you break it down in these squares. That's really good UI. Like it's good on the eyes. Did that come from your photography training or did that come from other training?
That one was from Jo. She's the one who liked the design. I just did the photos and videos.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is great. This very good UI. Pass her that. Very good UI. So after we talked last time, I spent like a year studying a little bit of web design. So like whenever I see stuff like this, it reminds me of a time in my life. So
it's amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, Marc Falzon, and we will have him back in the future. So thank you again. Ooika. I learned a really cool term.
Thanks, Jerry. Nice meeting you guys.